Welcome to the Manders Mindset podcast. Here you'll find both monologue and interviews of entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, and a variety of other people, where your host Amanda Russo will discuss her own mindset and perspective and her guest mindset and perspective on the world around us. Manders and her guests will help explain to you how shifting your mindset will shift your life.
Welcome to Manders Mindset, where we explore the power of shifting your mindset to shift your life. I'm your host, Amanda Russo, and I am here today with Adam Brownlie, and he is an author, and he is an author of the book Happypedia, and I am so excited to speak with him about happiness and whether we can choose to be happy or not. Thank you so much for joining me, Adam.
Yeah, hey Amanda, and that's a pretty important thing to talk about. Being misconceived about, how much power we have can lead to a lot of stress trying to do things that just aren't possible. So, really keen to talk about that.
Yeah, I love that. I'd love to know a little more about you. Who would you say Adam is at the core?
Adam is a what, sorry?
Is at the core, like when you strip everything else away.
Oh, gee, who's Adam at the core? Well, I don't know where to go with that. Like just a normal human being in one sense, and another one who's had a very unique upbringing. We've all had a unique upbringing. No one's had the same upbringing, and that's shaped our mind, our decisions, the decisions that appear without our choosing, like I'm sure we'll talk about. It all comes from those unique experiences we've had. I'm a different person to everyone else. But who am I? That could take a long time to figure out, I think.
Time to figure out. Fair enough. I get that. Can you tell me a little bit about your upbringing, childhood, family dynamic?
Yeah, so raised on a farm, two very happy parents. If you ask them what their secret to happiness is, they probably wouldn't be able to tell you. They just are. And that made life for me and my four brothers and sisters very easy because there was never any stress in the house. It was always very chill. Like the only stress was when we wanted to do something and mum may not have wanted us to do it, and but otherwise it was a very happy home. We had a lot of freedom, so living on a farm, we were pretty much free just to roam. Sometimes we wonder how we survived because we just had so much freedom. There's so much dangers on a farm and we're just free to go and do what we want. For some of our schooling was homeschooled. Well, not homeschooled, but school of the air. So mum taught us a bit. We literally just did school from maybe 8 or 9 in the morning until lunchtime. Then we'd have lunch, and then the rest of the day was free for us to do what we want. In that way, it was different to most people. We didn't have to, in that time of my life, and there was no catching the school bus to school or home again. It was just life on the farm with the family. And then I went to boarding school when I was about 12. That's another unique experience that a lot of people don't get, like leaving your family when you're 12 and spending, most of the year, a 10-hour bus ride away from them, growing up in a boarding house just full of other kids. So it was like going from one extreme to the other, going from just living with your family, that's it, and not seeing anyone else, to never seeing your family and being 24 hours with other people, with other kids, and it was a big contrast there. That was basically my childhood.
Were you close with your siblings?
Yeah, still are. Like, super lucky. We've got no like animosity between any of us. Like, all of us get along really well. We get together reasonably often. Like, we're all spread all over the world pretty much at the moment. Like, I've got one brother in Norway, one down in Canberra, or like is like the furthest down in the south of Australia, and then other relatives all in between. But yeah, we get together reasonably regularly, and yeah, we're not the type that like I don't know, call each other every day, but we can call each other whenever we want. So yeah.
I gotcha. Now, did you go to boarding school until like you graduated high school?
Yeah. So year 7 to 12. So 6 years. Then went to university and didn't know what I wanted to study. I knew how to farm, and so I was just like, well, I know how to do that. I'll just ask Dad if I can come home to the farm. Dad was like, yeah, sure. Just go and get a degree first. So I was like, well, what's the quickest degree I can do? I just want to get, I've been studying for 12 years already. I don't want to do any more. So I just went and did a 3-year degree in agronomy, studied farming. Partway through that, I started my first business. So then I was like, well, this business stuff's pretty interesting. So then I did a master's degree in business. After I did that, then I had these like jobs being offered to me in the city. And so I just took one. Lasted like 3 weeks, maybe. Like, didn't last very long, and it just wasn't a fit. So left there, went back to the farm, and then just farmed for probably six years, I think. 6 years of farming. Decided I wanted to do something more, and so I left the farm. I went and did property development, so buying land, developing it, selling it. Did that for about 4 years, and decided I wanted to do something more. And then that's when I started working on how can I make like the world a better place, how can I make a happier place. And so was trying all different things, like started this community connected thing, training up people in the community to help people, identify what they needed and signpost them in the right direction. Wrote a program for schools, like a social emotional learning program for years 7 and 8. And then got into this book and spent 3 years writing this book. So that basically brings us up to today.
No, this isn't the first book you wrote, was it?
Yeah, no, second one. First book I wrote, I really wanted to share this philosophy of determinism. And so the first idea was, let's write a story about it. Let's share it in a story. That was the idea of The Last Gods, which was the first. It's a science fiction. It's about a couple and their journey from now, or from when I wrote it about 4 years ago, till the end of time. It's a big trip. Like, there's not many books that go that far, like to the end of time. So that was my first book, and then published that I think 2 years ago, and I published that while I was still working on Happypedia. So Happypedia is a lot more direct. Like, it's it is. This is what the philosophy is, and this is how it can help you. So
I gotcha. Yeah. Now, prior to writing your first one, did you always think you'd write a book about something?
No.
Really?
No, I've never been a big writer. Like, English definitely wasn't my strong point at school. I only just passed. Like I got pretty good grades at school, but English was definitely down the bottom. Much better at maths and that sort of, logical thinking. And you'll get that in the book. It's very logical, very, yeah.
So what made you decide, like before you wrote the first one, The Last Gods, I'm going to write a book?
Maybe it was just the easiest way to get the message out. Like if you've got a message to share, how do you share it? Like you could write a movie. You could go and stand on the corner of the street and tell people, like, they're not things that I was keen to do. I was like, you know what, I could probably write a book. It's a bit odd when you think that, when you're like, you're not very good at English. You don't read much. I never read. But it was the most attractive way to share my message that I could think of. So, I think that's what drew me to it. But The Last Gods, I had to, I didn't have to, I did. I got it rewritten by a professional writer. So I wrote the story. It was about 15,000 words, and I wanted it to be a novel, which I think you need like 50,000 words or something like that. So then I hired a professional. I was like, hey, this is my story. Can you make it beautiful? And she did. Like, it's an absolutely beautiful read, but still shares that story that I wanted to share. Happypedia is 100% my words. Completely different read. If you read the two books, you'll see a massive contrast between the two.
Okay. And now Happypedia, what made you decide you were going to write a book on happiness? If you're loving these conversations and want to dive even deeper into mindfulness and transformation, make sure you check out my other podcast, Breathwork Magic. It's all about the power of the breath to unlock your potential. I'd love to have you there.
Yeah, lots of things. Like I said, I've always wanted to share this philosophy. And while, waiting in, I just happened to be in Tbilisi at the time. Just the thought, without my choosing, came across my mind, hey, a good way to share this philosophy. Like, this philosophy can really make you forgive yourself and forgive others. It can make that very easy. And that's such a huge source of stress for so many people. So I was like, this philosophy could really make happiness a lot easier for a lot of people. Let's write a book about happiness. So I wouldn't say I was an expert on happiness at the time. I was very qualified. I was very happy. But it's kind of like, I liken it to riding a bike. You know how if you've ridden a bike a lot, you can become very good at it, but you might not be able to tell someone how to do it. You just do it. You just feel it. You just it's just natural. So to be able to teach someone how to ride a bike, you really need to study how to ride a bike, even though you might already know how to do it. So that's what it was a bit like for me. I was like, happiness is easy for me, but I better go study it if I'm going to write a book. So that's what took me so long to write it. There was a lot of research, and you'll see that through the book.
Yeah, I heard you mention on some podcast, like over 500 articles that you've read about happiness before you wrote the book.
Yeah, the list of citations was nearly as long as the book itself. So it's been trimmed back a lot. So the editors were like, you can't be putting all those citations in this book. It'll just detract. It's like it's not a journal. You can just add a few here and there where they're most relevant. So we don't have 500 citations in the end book, but there was lots of research went into it to really understand what's going on in the body. What is it exactly that makes us happy? So yeah, a big part of it was just learning about happiness. And then a big part of it is just trying to put that into a language that people can pick up. Because a lot of it is like obvious. A lot of it is logical, but so different to what we've been told that it's very hard to put in a language to, like, break down all these myths and make it easy to understand.
I'm curious, what would you say was the most surprising piece of research that you discovered?
Probably about novelty. So we've got these 6 pillars of happiness that I talk about in the book: eating well, sleeping well, exercising well, socializing, and then there's hope and novelty. So when I was just researching what gives us these hormones, these happy hormones like serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. And when novelty first came up, I was like, that's interesting, but I'll just put it on the extras list because it didn't really fit into a box. But then it just kept on coming up. And so I was like, well, this really needs a box of its own. I was really surprised to see how important novelty is. So that's just like having new experiences. So it can be going on a holiday to somewhere new. It can just be like walking a different way to work or having a new food that you haven't had. Just these little experiences are were really important. What's boredom? Boredom's when you just don't have any novelty. So, that can be a huge source of stress. And to combat that, we need some novelty. Just like to combat hunger, we need food. So yeah, that was probably one of the interesting findings. Yeah.
Wow. And it was pretty high up there and relevant, like the novelty from your research.
It's become one of the pillars of happiness. Yeah.
I mean that makes sense that it's important, but I don't know if I would have considered it that high myself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like you say, eating well, the sleeping, that makes sense. You're not gonna, even if the average person doesn't think that, you're only gonna be so happy if you're depleted from no sleep, if you're eating like crap, but the novelty.
Yeah. Interesting, hey?
It is.
And so often, so sometimes people ask me, which one of those pillars is most important? And there really isn't one that's most important. They're all kind of essential. But it's interesting how many people say, you know what, I think novelty is the one that's missing in my life. Some people are like, yeah, okay, I need to eat better. Or, yeah, I'm not getting enough sleep. I really need to get more sleep or exercise. But, yeah, it's just surprising how many people say, hey, that's the pillar I need to focus on. Yeah.
Wow. Now, can people focus on, do you suggest people can focus on more than one pillar at a time, or should it be like a one pillar at a time thing they're working on?
It depends on how much capacity you have. If you're not eating well or sleeping well or exercising well or socializing, it's probably going to be very hard to focus on all of them at once because you're probably not going to have the energy. This is one of the things about happiness. The happier you are, the more energy you have to do these things. If you're not doing any of them well at the moment, you're probably not very happy and don't have the motivation to do much more than what you're doing. So you probably just want to choose one easy one and just, do one step at a time. Yeah. But yeah, it's often so we often lean on the ones that we're good at. So if we're really good at exercising and we're having a bad day, or we're not, we feel we're not where we want to be, we'll just exercise more. So we're already exercising twice a week. We'll exercise 6 times. Yeah, it's very tempting to focus on the one that you're already good at. Just because you're good at it, it's easy and it makes you happy. we're probably going to get more benefit if we can see which one am I not so good at, and it needs some, that one. So I liken it to growing a crop of cotton. If we make it very basic, a crop of cotton needs water, it needs fertilizer, and you need to manage the weeds, right? If it's already like plenty of water, but it's short on fertilizer, there's no point just going and watering it. Like, the limiting factor is the fertilizer. So that's what you've got to add to this crop to get it to grow more. And so it's the same with us. We've got to look at which one of those 6 pillars is holding me back. What's the limiting factor? And focus on that rather than, doing what we're already doing plenty of. Yeah.
I think a lot of us are guilty of that, because it looks like we're contributing to a pillar, even if it's a pillar we're already kind of achieving.
Yeah, 100%.
And now, and I'm so curious what your thoughts on this, but you talk about happiness not being a choice.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, why would anyone choose to be sad? I heard you say this in a different podcast episode.
Yeah.
But I feel like we have some sort of control over this.
Yeah.
Hear me out. There's certain things in life that will happen, grief, death, accidents, what have you, that we can't control. And then you'll be sad over that. But there's ways to find create small bits of happiness, small bits of joy in the midst of life.
Yeah.
But you don't agree with that.
Yeah, no, it's a massive mind shift to what we're taught. So, like, if you're taught this for your whole life, like, let's say 40 years, you've been told one thing, it's very hard to switch your mind to thinking a different way. So yeah, it takes time, it takes effort to contemplate it. And the more you contemplate it, the more you'll realize, hey, yeah, this is true. Like, I'm not choosing how I feel, like how I feel appears. And then that affects my next thoughts, my next choices, and what I do next. And if I've had good life experiences, then that increases the chance that I'll do good things when I feel unhappy. That is going to then make me happy. So let's say something bad happens to you. You don't be like, okay, how am I going to feel now? Am I going to feel excited or sad? Like, something bad happens, you just feel sad or angry or disappointed. That just happens to make that judgment. Hey, this is bad. Then you feel a certain way. Now, what you do next, once you feel that, okay, I'm feeling sad now, depends on all the past experiences that led up to that. Like, if you've had a family that's raised you to believe that, like, if you're feeling sad, go for a walk, talk to someone, then this is probably the next thought that appears, because you don't choose the next thought that's going to appear. You're like, oh, I feel sad now. And you don't know what the next thought's going to be. It's going to appear, and then you're going to see it there. That could be to go for a walk. That could be to call a friend. You really don't know. And what it will depend on your life experiences. So yeah, sometimes when we feel bad, we will make choices that will then make us feel happy. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're like, hey, I feel sad. I'm going to go put on a sad movie and watch a sad. Like, I'm just going to go and eat some junk food. I'm just going to go and sit on the lounge and just reflect. I'm just going to keep on thinking about this bad thing that's happened. Like, there's all these choices that we could have, and we don't know what that choice is going to be until it happens. But that choice that we make is a result of our past experiences, like what we've been told, what we've read, the genes that we have. Yeah, all these factors play into that.
Okay. So you don't think there's ever a time or a situation where we are choosing, like, the emotional state we're feeling, ever?
So there's certain things that we can choose. Like I can think about, so first of all, we need to talk about what a decision is. What's a decision? A decision is when we have a thought and a desire for some sort of outcome. Like I just might decide to lift my hand, and that decision is a thought of lifting my hand and a desire to do it. If I just have the thought of lifting my hand, that's not a decision. It's just a thought. So we need to have the thought and the desire. So I've just had a thought and a desire to lift my hand, so I've lifted my hand. So I've made a decision to lift my hand. I can't make a decision to like dilate my pupil. Like I can't have a thought and desire. Like I can have a thought and desire to dilate my pupil, but it's not going to change the size of my pupil. There's certain things that don't happen after we make a thought, have a decision. And emotions are one of those things. Like we can't decide for our hair to go faster or slower. We can't decide for our stomach to digest. Like these things just happen, and we can't decide what emotion comes. All we can decide is thoughts and some movements. Like most of our limbs, we can choose, have a decision, and then they can move. So what we can do when a emotion arises that we don't really enjoy, we can have a decision to move or think certain things. So let's say something bad happens, and all of a sudden these emotions come over me that are a bit uncomfortable, and I want to, have more positive emotions. I might decide to run or walk or do some chin-ups. Like I can do movement stuff. I can also choose to think about more positive things, choose to think about what I'm going to do to improve this situation, and then that'll give me hope. But we can't really choose to feel excited or, yeah.
You don't think we can choose to feel excited even if we like trick the excitement ever?
So when you say trick, how would you trick it?
Well, I was actually taught this by somebody that like if you're sad, but like if you are anxious or nervous or worried about something, it's easier to trick your mind or your brain to think you're excited about. Maybe if you're doing a public speaking thing, I was going ziplining, and I kind of tried to trick myself into thinking I was excited for this ziplining. I was not excited at all. I was scared shitless, but I was tricked myself into thinking I was kind of excited, and I did the thing.
Yeah, 100%. Now, how did you trick yourself into doing that?
I was just saying it to myself. I'm like, this is going to be great. When I get to the other side, I'm going to love this. And I was like, a little bit of hand movements to like...
Yeah. Right. Oh, exactly. So you were thinking, you chose to think excited thoughts. You chose to move in an excited way. So these are things that you can have decisions to do, and they can make you feel a certain way. Can't just be like there, don't think anything, don't move, and just be like, I'm going to feel excited. It just won't work. Like you just can't. It's like choosing to dilate your pupil. Like you just can't. You've got to walk into a dark room, or you've got to do something.
So it was because I made a decision there. That's how I like shifted that. Yeah.
It's because you chose to think these certain thoughts. You're like, if I think these thoughts, or if I say these words, like you can choose to move your mouth. Like you might have said yes or something like that. I don't know what you did, but like if you chose to do actions or chose to think about a certain outcome, then they can affect how you feel. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm curious. Would you say toxic positivity ties into this?
Well, let's define toxic positivity. How would you define that?
I guess, I mean, the people that try to find positivity even in like really melancholy moments, and maybe instantly in those melancholy moments.
And so toxic makes it sound like this is bad. Is this bad to do this?
I guess it depends on who. I guess it depends on who you ask.
Yeah. Well, most people like to feel happy. It's like it's very unhealthy to want to feel unhappy. So doing things to make yourself feel happy sounds like a good thing to me. Just from what you said, I can't see a big downside in that. But we don't want to trick ourselves. We don't want to lie to ourselves. Like if there is like, if something isn't true, there's no point telling us our true, because like the universe will soon prove it's not true. It's like someone saying, like looking in the mirror and saying, I'm skinny, I'm skinny, I'm skinny, trying to convince themselves that they're skinny. Like you might think it for a little bit until you walk down the street and someone says something or looks at you a certain way and you're like, I'm not skinny. Like the universe will point out if you're trying to trick yourself, that it'll pull you into line. So there's no point telling yourself lies. If there's nothing good about the situation, you're probably wasting your energy trying to tell yourself that it's good. You're better off looking at what you're going to do about the situation to cause a good outcome. You're going to be like, hey, look at this shit outcome. This is not what I want. What can I do about it to get to where I do want to be? Like, what can I do to make this a good situation? Yeah, it can be a waste of energy trying to convince ourselves of something that's not true.
I like that comment. What can I do to make this a good situation?
Yeah.
And like shifting that.
Yeah, because that'll give us hope. So like hope is so powerful.
You mentioned that as one of the 6 I don't think I would have even guessed that.
Yeah. So like I said, when you were trying to change how you felt about feeling excited, a big part of that was the thoughts that you have. So thoughts like have this massive, impact on us. If we think about someone we love, all of a sudden we'll just start feeling a certain way. If we think about a holiday we're going to go on, we'll just like thoughts have a massive effect on our feelings. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, doing something physical, like exercising, has a massive effect. It's kind of very black and white. It's like you do this exercise, you feel this way. Same as food, like you eat a certain food, it'll make you feel a certain way. Thoughts are kind of the same. If you think a certain class of thought, it's going to make you feel a certain way. Yeah.
So hope is the thoughts that are in your head?
So it's a judgment that, what we've got, what we've got is good and we're going to continue to have it, or we're going to have something good in the future. So we're always chasing hope. We're always chasing more. And that's really healthy. Like, it's not something we should try and stop. Like, it's built into us genetically to want more, and it helps us survive. So, wanting to not want more is like wanting to not eat. Like, we need to eat to survive, and we need to we need to think positive things. If we don't think positive things, we end up being classified as depressed. Someone who's depressed really struggles to think positive things. And they struggle to think anything's worth their effort. When you've got hope, it drives you to put effort towards that outcome. So if we try to stop wanting more, we'll end up depressed, because that is basically a state of not wanting more, and it's very stressful.
Okay. So it ties into like what we have and what we are seeking, hoping to like achieve.
Yeah. So that's like when we are in a bad situation, we need to like, what do I want out of this? Because as soon as we have something that we want, that we think we can achieve, all of a sudden we have hope again. So yeah, the quicker we can go from, hey, this isn't what I want, to, hey, this is how I can get what I want, the quicker we'll go from feeling hopeless because we've lost what we want to feeling hope again. So yeah, it's an important thing to remember that, you know, hope can make us feel good. And to get hope, we need to believe we can get something good. So if we're not feeling good, think, how can I get something good?
How can I get something good? Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Would you consider happiness and joy the same thing?
Yeah. There's so many words we use for our positive emotions, isn't there? We could get technical and say joy only includes this. They're all positive emotions in my books. They're all something we should strive for. Yeah. What would you say?
I consider them a tad differently.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is just my mind, but I consider happiness to be a little deeper,
Yeah.
I think, than joy. Like joy, I think of even like very small things. Not that happiness isn't small things, but that's kind of just how my brain associates the two.
Yeah.
I was just curious your thoughts on that.
Well, I just Googled joy, and it says joy is a deep inner state of well-being, gladness, and great happiness. So according to this Google definition, it's the upper extreme of happiness. So it's great happiness.
So I was completely opposite. Okay.
So yeah, I start off like, you know, defining something that you're going to talk about is very important, so everyone's on the same page. So yeah, I start off Happypedia with what is happiness, and basically, it's a range of positive emotions. It's anything from feeling content to excited. We call all, like, when we're excited, we're happy. When we're content, we're happy. When we're joyful, we're happy. Like, all of these different words are different like stages of happiness. Like overjoyed is over the top of joy, I guess. So joy is up there. And then we've got contentment, which is right down the bottom, which is just above suffering. They're all happy. Yeah, so happiness covers a great range of really joyful emotions, positive emotions, I think. If you're not suffering, then you're generally happy. And that's another good point to think about is, you know, we don't need to be joyful to be happy. Generally, if we're not suffering, we would call ourselves happy. So all we need to do is just manage suffering and we'll be happy.
So what's the best tip to manage suffering?
Depends what's causing it.
That's fair.
You know, there's no point me telling you just got to find hope if what's causing your suffering is the stone in your shoe. You know, if you got a stone in your shoe, take the stone out of your shoe. Like, if you got some suffering, what's causing it? Like, are you hungry? Are you tired? Are you bored? Why are you unhappy? And then that will lead us to the solution to what's going to make you happy today. Yeah.
Have you ever run into anybody not knowing why they weren't happy? Like what pillow they're not hitting or which ones they're not hitting?
So like you said at the start, they're all pretty obvious, hey? And so once you know them, it makes it very easy to be like, hey, what am I missing? But if you don't know, like, if you've never stopped to think about it and no one's ever told you that these are the pillars to happiness, and someone asks you, why are you unhappy? Yeah, it could be hard to put your finger on it. Like, I don't know, just like feeling bad today. But if you know these pillars, then you can be like, you know what, like, I just had a really good meal with my mates. I had a really good sleep last night. So it's none of those. It must be hope. Like, I've just got nothing to look forward to in my life. Like, there's just nothing good happening. So then you can go through the pillars and cross them off, and it makes it a lot easier to be like, hey, this is where I need to focus to change how I feel.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Now, how did you come up with the name Happypedia?
Because of all the people who read my drafts, and they're like, man, this is hard to read. This is just like reading an encyclopedia. Like, it's not have you read much of it?
No.
Yeah. It's very, like, I'm a very logical guy. I'm very black and white. I'm very science-based. And so that's the type of book I wrote. It's no Last Gods. Like, if you want a fun read, an enjoyable read, Last Gods is like a good story book. Yeah, it kind of reads like, but this is the feedback I got. Like, it reads like an encyclopedia. So I was like, well, let's be upfront about this. Let's tell people what they're getting in for. It's not like a lot of positivity books that are like, you can do this, that are really feel good. You know, they're designed to make you feel good. This book's designed to teach you what you need to do to make yourself feel good. So yeah, that's where Happypedia came from. It just came from feedback. Like, you know, this is what this book's like. Yeah.
Were you intending to make it encyclopedia-like, or it just happened to be that way?
My intention was really to, like, teach people how to forgive. It kind of just came out this way because that's who I am at the core. The core is a very logical, black and white, science-based person. And so, yeah, that's what the book that ended up coming out. I think someone else could probably rewrite it into a different book that might appeal to a wider audience. But yeah.
Now, how does being happier help us forgive?
No, forgiving helps us feel happier.
Okay.
But I can answer your question. This happiness helix, the happier you are, the easier it is to do things that make you happy. So really happy people find it very easy to go for a run and to exercise, like to eat well, because like they've got energy. They've got, they get home from work and they're like, righto, let's go for a run. Let's cook up a storm. Whereas someone who's stressed, they get home from work and they're just like, I just want to lay on the lounge and order some KFC. So the happier you are, the easier it is to do things that make you happy. And one of the things that makes us happy is forgiving. If you don't forgive, you're going to carry this stress. All you're going to be thinking about is these bad thoughts. And like we talked about before, what we think about really affects how we feel. But if you can forgive, then all of a sudden those thoughts wane. So yeah, forgiveness is very important. And the happier you are, the easier it is to forgive. Like, if you've had a terrible day and you're really stressed, you haven't eaten very well, you're tired, and someone has done something to you at work that's like really got under your skin, you're much more likely to carry that and just be ruminating on it for the rest of the day. But like, if you've got a lot going on in your life and you've like you're chill and you got stuff to look forward to after work, you're much more likely to be like, gee, that person's a prick, but like, we'll sort it out later. I got other things to think about. You know what I mean? So being happy can make it easier to forgive. But I'd probably be more thinking forgiveness makes it easier to be happy. Yeah.
I get what you mean. Okay. Now, I'm curious, and I ask all the guests this, and I'm sure you have had many, but I'm curious what you would say has been the biggest aha moment you've had in your life, where you realized something different about the world?
Yeah, that was probably walking down the Brisbane River with my friends, Jack and Andy. This was just after I'd finished university. And I don't know how we got onto this topic. Like, we often talk about deep things. But yeah, Jack, he, got a stone and threw this stone. And he's like, you know what? Our life is just like the path of this stone. Like, where it lands depends on how much force I apply to it, the angle I apply that force, the wind, the temperature, all these other forces that are acting on that stone, the shape of it as it flies through the air, determine exactly where it's going to land. And we are exactly the same. Like, all these forces are acting on all the matter in our body and determining how they move. And that determines the decisions we make. So where we land at the end of our life is destined. And that was like, yeah, you can't argue with that. Like, I know it doesn't feel like that, particularly because we've been told that, the world works a certain way. But from a logical and from a scientific perspective, you really can't argue with that. And knowing that really makes forgiveness easy, because when you know that and someone does something that offends you, you're like, well, it's not their fault. They didn't choose the life that they had. Like, they were born with certain genes that they didn't choose. They were born into a certain family that raised them a certain way. They, happen to have certain kids because they happen to have certain friends because they happen to go to a certain school. Like, all these things shape them into the person they are. And then that determined what decisions they made. You would have made a different decision if you were in their spot, but you've had different life experiences. So when you know that it's not their fault that they did what they did, then it's very easy to forgive them and be like, well, that was a pretty wrong move that they just made, but it just sucks because their life they've had, it's not their fault.
Wow. That must have been a very reflective moment for you when he said that.
Well, yeah, I didn't think about it much at the time. I was just like, yeah, that's so true. And I think the conversation went on, but I definitely thought about it a lot in writing this book. And that's like many things. The more you study something, the more you understand it, the more you, the more you believe it. Yeah.
That makes sense. Now, who would you recommend Happypedia for? Anybody? Everybody?
No, it's more for people who are very I think it's for the engineers out there. Like, if you're an engineer and you're a very logical thinker, then this book's probably for you, because it's for people who are very emotional and make their decisions emotional. It might be a bit harder to pick up, because it's a very formula, it's a very X plus Y equals Z type of recipe for happiness. Yeah, so that's who the book would be. Like, people who think like me are going to probably appreciate the book more, I think. Yeah.
I gotcha. Do you see yourself writing another book in the future?
No. It would be good to have a
You didn't even hesitate.
No. Yeah, that was a massive undertaking. Hey, 3 years of my life. Damn, that's how long I was at university for. Yeah. So yeah, I know a lot about happiness now. And it would be good to condense that book down into a short summary, because it's a huge book. It's this thick. It's so thick that I couldn't get a hardcover printed with Amazon because it's too big for their hardcover printer. So,
oh my God.
You can only get softcover on Amazon. Yeah, it's a big book. It'd be good to condense it down. But yeah, they're complex topics, and so it started off a lot thinner. it started off at 50,000 words. But, you know, people are like, what about this? What about that? How come this? How come that? And like, you know, there's such, you know, important topics to understand fully. You know, it really needed to go into these details. So yeah, it'd be great to be able to summarize it into a shorter book that more people could read. But yeah, I'm not rushing out to do that. I'd love to make a documentary next. That's what I'd love to do. Make a documentary on happiness. That might be a way to share the message to more people. Yeah.
You could do that.
Yeah, 100%. One day. Yeah.
One day. Oh my gosh, Adam. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. Yeah, I love getting the word out there. Hopefully we've made someone a little bit happier today, or find the path to a little bit more happiness.
I hope we did. I think we did.
Yeah, nice.
Have you heard of a man named Jay Shetty?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's great with marketing, hey? I remember seeing him, it must have been like 10 years ago on Facebook. And I was like, man, this guy's so engaging, and what he says is so like relatable. So yeah, I followed him back then. I feel like he's changed a little bit now, but he's still like very engaging. Yeah, he's a great storyteller. Yeah.
I'm a big fan. He's even got a podcast called On Purpose. And he ends it with 2 segments, and I've stolen those 2 segments. And I end my podcast with those 2 segments. First segment is the many sides to us. There's 5 questions, and they need to be answered in 1 word each.
Yeah.
What is 1 word someone who was meeting you for the first time would use to describe you as?
Interesting.
What is 1 word someone that knows you extremely well would use to describe you as?
Interesting.
You can't repeat the words.
Unique.
What is 1 word you'd use to describe yourself?
That's 6 words. It needs to be a new word.
There's a lot of words in the dictionary, and you wrote a very big book.
Yeah, it took me 3 years to do that, so give me a few seconds to think about this. How would I describe myself? Logical.
What is 1 word that if someone didn't like you or agree with your mindset would use to describe you as?
Wrong.
What is 1 word you're trying to embody right now?
Intelligence.
Second segment is the final 5, and these can be answered in a sentence.
Yeah.
What is the best advice you've heard or received?
Be yourself.
Why is that the best?
Well, I couldn't think of the best, so I was just like, what's some good advice? Yeah, like.
Well, why is that what you chose as good advice?
It's so easy to be yourself. It's so hard to be someone else because you don't know how to be them. All we see of someone else is just a reflection of who they are. So we don't know what we need to do to be that reflection. Yeah, if you don't like who you are, then like work to change that. But like until you change, you still just need to be who you are.
That's true. What is the worst advice you've heard or received?
Just choose to be happy.
Why is that the worst?
You just can't. It's not possible. You can choose to go for a run. You can choose to like think positive thoughts, but you can't just choose to be happy. And then it makes it a lot easier to forgive yourself for feeling unhappy, because you're like, well, you know, I can't choose to feel any other way. Like, this is the way I currently feel. And, you know, sometimes we just don't know what to do to make us feel differently. Like, we try to think positive thoughts, but then, you know, seconds later, these uncomfortable thoughts come back again. Like, we didn't choose to have them. If we could choose our thoughts, we would have chosen to think more positive thoughts. But like, and so until we can identify, until we can learn what we need to do to make more positive thoughts come, we just need to appreciate that we don't choose these thoughts. Like, we don't know what our next thought's going to be until it appears. And when it appears, it's like, oh yeah, I understand why I thought that, but we didn't know we were going to think that until it happened.
That makes sense. What is something that you used to value that you no longer value?
Saving money, and just making coffees at home. Yeah, I used to hate going out for coffee. I used to think it was such a waste of money. You know, like, you can make a coffee at home for cents. Why would you go out and spend $5 on a coffee? But, you know, it's a little thing. Yeah, so that's something I've changed my mind about.
Okay. If you could describe what you would want your legacy to be, as if someone was reading it, what would you want it to say?
Made the world a happier place.
If you could create one law in the world that everyone had to follow, what would it be? And I want to know why.
It would be to forgive yourself and forgive others. Imagine if we had to forgive ourselves. Like, there'd be no more rumination. There'd be no more resentment. Like, you're not going to regret something that you've forgiven yourself for. There'd be no more like, what would you call it? Like, retaliation. Like, we wouldn't retaliate because we're like, well, I've forgiven you. You might still punish someone for something that, you know, they need to learn from, but you're not going to retaliate, as in just do something because you're angry at them, or like do them because you feel they did the wrong thing. Like, not like you feel that, you know, they could have done something different. Yeah, it'd take a lot of violence out of the world if people had to forgive.
That's true. That's very true. Well, thank you so much, Adam. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Amanda.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do just like to give it back to the listeners, no pressure, but any final words you want to share with the listeners before we close out?
No, I think we've covered everything. Yeah.
Sounds good. And I will link your website in the show notes. Are you active on any social media if anybody wants to get in touch with you?
No, I'm really not active. But yeah, you can reach out to me. There's plenty of ways online. If you search up Adam Brownlie or Happypedia, you're going to find me. And yeah, it's very easy to get in contact if you'd like.
It sounds good. And I will link the website in the show notes. Thank you so much again, Adam. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Manders Mindset. In case no one told you today, I'm proud of you. I'm rooting for you. And you got this. As always, if you enjoyed the show, I would really appreciate it if you would leave me a 5-star rating, leave a review, and share it with anyone you think would benefit from this. And don't forget, you are only one mindset shift away from shifting your life. Thanks, guys. Until next time.